the Rambler Network.
Good morning! Welcome to Season 5 of The Digressor. I'm Trevor, and the first episode back in 2 years, I am talking about the Tunguska Event. For this episode, I thought I would do a historical one. In fact, a lot of the episodes this season are going to be historical because I just wanted to do historical ones. Now that I have a movie podcast, I'll just save a lot of the pop culture-y stuff for that one. At least for this season. If you heard the introduction, then I've covered that. I'm not going to rehash that. So I'm just going to start talking about the Tunguska event right off the bat. So, the Tunguska event, it happened on the 30th of June, 1908, which was a very long time ago. It was in a very remote area of Siberia in Russia. So basically what happened was there was, out in the middle of nowhere, a literal nowhere, there was this flash across the sky, and then it exploded. And it's been described as with the force of like 1,000 Hiroshimas. And it blew away a bunch of trees. There's no crater because whatever this thing was blew up in midair. And it was so remote, it took well over a decade before anybody actually went to investigate. There were witnesses. They were a long ways away. It's a sparsely populated area. And it did kill 3 people. But considering what the event was, and how like devastating it was to the surrounding areas and all the the trees had uprooted and everything. It's amazing it only killed 3 people. Because if this happened in like New York City or something, I'm pretty sure it would have like wiped out the whole place. Like there wouldn't be any survivors, I would imagine, if that happened there. And over the last century, and I was going to say century and a half, it's been 116 years, and there's been a lot of theories, and a lot of them I hear are, oh, it was aliens, it was the aliens testing some nuclear weapon, but this was long before nuclear weapons were a thing. Of course, it was aliens, then, they're not on the same technological scale as us, and they're way more advanced if they can do the whole interstellar travel. But personally, I do not think it was aliens. My thought is the most logical, in that it was most likely a meteorite that came to Earth and exploded above the ground before hitting. That's why there is no crater. If you watch documentaries and stuff, sometimes they will talk about there's miniature craters where things have hit, and they found microscopic little rocks, like little pebble, like microscopic, like really tiny spheres things, and then they go and they take them and they like poke and prod at them, and it turns out, oh, this is pieces of a meteorite. So why are pieces of a meteorite at this site unless a meteor exploded? So that's my personal thoughts. I mean, if you want to believe an alien tried to blow up some trees, you go ahead. Why would the aliens do that? They attack this random middle of nowhere place and they don't do it again? Do you think it was like a test shot, like how they like test nukes over and over again? I don't think they do that now, but like when they did. But even if that was the case, like why would they do it once? Like they test it once and it's like, oh, okay, we got it. No, it was definitely a meteorite. So it has been referenced a few times in like fictional shows and movies and stuff. I want to talk about one in particular. There was an X-Files episode titled Tunguska, and you would think that they would follow that whole premise of like, aliens coming and trying to start a war or something. But there's, it did talk about aliens, but not in the way you were thinking. Basically, what the X-Files episode did is have like microscopic life forms be introduced to the planet through the Tunguska event. But, considering it was the X-Files, it's a little surprising they didn't go all out with it. I didn't watch the episode. I really probably should have before doing this. But the point is that the X-Files talked about it. And because they talked about it, I'm talking about the X-Files talking about it in this episode about the Tunguska event. I can't words. Like, this is a topic I always found interesting. Like, I think when I was younger, I was reading a bunch of books on it, like middle and high school, and I think I did, for the longest time, believe the whole alien thing. Like, it was a mystery. It's one of the biggest mysteries of all time. Like, what caused this? And here's pictures of the trees falling over, and what could have caused this? It had to have been aliens. But then you look at the evidence, like actually look at the evidence, and no, it was an exploding meteorite. It's so obvious. And like I think the thing that really sold me over on that it was a meteorite is I heard it was my early 20s. I had seen the thing about them finding fragments of the meteorite, which, like I pointed out, that could have only come from a meteorite. You don't have pieces of meteorite coming from non-meteorites. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to cover this, and I actually wanted to cover it years ago when I was, before I took this extended hiatus, but I wasn't able to fill a 45-minute episode. I couldn't find enough content to fill a 45-minute episode. And so now that I'm doing shorter episodes of The Digressor, I figured, hey, I can talk about the Tunguska event now. And I wouldn't have to stretch it out for an hour for no reason. So, yeah. But I digress.
The Rambler Network.